Hey Crafty Mavens, it's Vanessa here with another Stash It layout, and today we are going to start out by putting a little bit of mixed media on this white cardstock background that I have gessoed off camera before I started. And I showed you very quickly a cut file that I cut on my silhouette, and it is from the Paper Issues store, which I will also link below. This is one of their free cut files. And I'm using that wreath for the main element of my page, and so I wanted to do something on the background. So I'm taking some of my shimmers paint colors in a blue and then a sort of turquoisey green blue, and then I'm going to do some splatters in yellow as we go. And so I am just kind of copying the pattern of that wreath in my background. I do let some of the color bleed a bit into the center in two areas because that's where the concentration of those stars are on my wreath background. And you will see I do bring the wreath in here and there just to make sure that I'm getting color so that you actually can see it once I place that wreath down. And so I'm doing primarily the green and the blue colors for this layout. I do, like I said, add in a few minutes the yellow, but it's just only a little hint of the yellow. Now, I got this idea from Missy Wooden, and she will often add white paint to her watercolor, and it adds this sort of marbly effect, and I really love the look of it. So I went ahead and did that with some white paint. Now my paint was a little bit on the thicker side, so I did use my finger and kind of just blend it out a little bit. But again, it gives that really cool marbly effect to the background. So it's definitely something I want to try again. And I'm just going to do just a few splatters with some of my color, and then in a moment I will set this off to the side to dry, as you see me adding just a little bit of water. This definitely I would recommend if you want to do a background like this. Absolutely use some gesso on your cardstock. It definitely helps the paint to move around and gives you some time to play with it, as well as it does help your paper from warping too much. I did put some heavy books on top of this after it dried, just to flatten it out a bit, so the warping was not too bad, but the gesso definitely helps with getting the color to move and blend and give me this really fun background. Here is where that yellow shimmers comes in, and that was in the Vibes Glorious Day color, I believe. And you don't see a whole lot of this yellow in the final layout. You'll see just a little hint of it. I didn't want the yellow to be a huge part of the layout. I just wanted to add just a slight accent of some yellow. So that is what you see me doing here. And like I said, it is very, very faint, but I do really like it. It does just add just a little bit of interest to the background. So there you see I'm just kind of getting some of that color up, and I'm going to lay that off to the side to dry. Now in that cut file, there were stars that were obviously cut in the center of the wreath. And so I'm going to take those stars from the center, trace them out, and then cut them out. Now, instead of backing some of the stars on the wreath, I am going to actually place these stars on top of the wreath, which you'll see as we go here. So I'm just taking some of those pattern papers that I decided to use for this layout, and I'm just tracing those stars, and you'll see as we go how I place them on the layout. I will let you know that everything that I'm using for this layout is all items from my stash, and it actually all came from a stash kit that I put together a while back on my channel. I will have my channel link below if you want to stop over and take a look at some of the other projects that I have done. So there you see, I have now let my background dry. I've mounted that white paper onto a piece of green cardstock and glued down my wreath. So I have this really cool kind of fun watery color background that the wreath is on top of, which really kind of helps the wreath stand out. And now I am taking this cute little photo of my little guy. And this was when he was just a few months old and he was having some tummy time and he was starting to, make the crawling action. And this was just before he started to take off and start crawling all over. And so I have this really sweet little picture of him that we are going to scrap today. So I have gone ahead and just taken this sort of rainbow striped paper and matted my photo with just the one mat, and I'm going to place it there at the bottom right of my layout, just tucked underneath one of the star clusters on my wreath. Now here is where you see I have taken those stars that you saw me cut from the pattern papers, and I'm placing those on top of the cutout stars on the wreath so that I will pop those up so it adds a little bit of dimension and interest. And now I am just going to take all these bits and pieces that I had in that page kit that I have put together, and I'm going to go about building my clusters. I have this one cluster that is down here at the bottom of my photo, and all of the clusters on this layout are basically going to be in the two portions of the star wreath where there's the clusters of stars. I can't get my words out today. Those are going to be my main two embellishment clusters. So I only have two that really I would say are the embellishment clusters on this layout. And I really like how they kind of fit right in along the wreath and are along in amongst the stars for this layout. So here you see I am building my second cluster, and again, as I usually do, I am just mixing my colors around to get a good mixture of the blues and the greens and the yellow that I'm also pulling into this layout. And so that is what you see me doing here. Now off camera, I will glue all of this down, and the cluster on the bottom does move. There you see it's moved sort of to the opposite side. All the same elements are there, but I did move it to the other side. So once I got everything stuck down, I did go ahead here and start on my title. And I do kind of fuss around with this a little bit. I move it to kind of get it evened up on the top of my photo, because that is where my title is going to land, is just straight on top of my photo. And so basically the title for this one is just going to be On the Move, because like I said, this is a photo of my son right before he started to get the crawling action down. And so this is the start of his On the Move, and basically since he started being able to crawl and walk, he has not stopped. He is definitely full of energy, that one. So very fitting title for my little guy. Now, as a finishing touch, I'm just going to take some of these enamel stars. Again, keeping with that star theme, I am just going to sprinkle those around each of my clusters, and that is going to be it for this one. So please be sure to like and subscribe to the Crafty Maven and come back every day and see the new inspiration from the design team. And with that, guys, the still photos are coming up, and I will catch you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.